Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the First Class Second Place podcast. I'm your host, Jason Enrique, and we got another first class guest up in the building today. But before we continue, let's get the niceties out of the way. I want to shout out Marv and Bravery Studios. We are live at Bravery Studios in Garfield, New Jersey. Shout out to Marv behind the glass, excuse me. And also, let's not forget to shout out to Rick H. And I'm officially now the new co-host of the 2 a.m. crew. If you haven't been watching, it's now available on all streaming platforms. Non-stop New York sports talk. You're not going to want to miss it. Yes, indeed. And I think that's what we got so far. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I love when people just come in clutch and they come, unexpectedly. And it's also great when you always want to try to find a way to get them through to the show, and it never pans out for whatever reason. But then afterwards, one thing happens to another. And this is one of the few people that I've really wanted on the show for quite some time. Uber funny, uber talented, and all-around great guy. First class indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Diaz is in the building. What is going on, Jerry?
Thank you, sir. That is quite an introduction.
Thank you, man.
Very humble. Thank you.
Now, I'm gonna be showing my age here, and I might be embarrassing myself, but I also could be getting a laugh all in one here.
Sure.
But throughout your whole life, especially in the 90s, did you ever get that Jerry Springer chant? Jerry.
So it has completely ruined certain shows.
Okay.
Because, say we'll be on a show, I'm on a panel, like we're doing comedy jokes or whatever, and as soon as I do a burn or so, Jerry, undeniably happens every single time.
Or you could even pull a Seinfeld like, Jerry, come on, Jerry.
What do you mean, these people? Yeah. But
what's the deal with?
What they're playing peanuts. That's really old. I really dated myself. So you don't have to worry about it because I'm definitely older than you, so you don't have to worry about it.
Hey, it's also that I really connect with anyway. So
that's right.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
Age is another number, but don't tell that to Epstein. But anyway, anyway, I'm glad to have you here, brother. Like I said, it's funny because I feel like, first of all, shout out to Ramon Pasante and everybody at the cast playing Sam, because before we started recording, I was thinking to myself, how many people from the movie have I had on the show?
I think I'm the final stone to collect.
You're one of the last
for the plates and gauntlet. Yeah,
and it's not by design. I mean, no. I've loved the movie and everything, but I just I think it's more about me. And this is me finding my imposter syndrome. It's like, I can't believe I'm actually getting to know all these people that I've seen on social media.
You're part of the community, brother.
Yeah.
You're part of the community. That's what that means to me,
Right, yeah.
Like, it's all been about, like you said, it wasn't a thing where it was planned or anything like that, but it just so happens that, because that's how we made that movie for Ramon. He's like, hey, I need a favor. Because that's what we're doing. We're all in the business. We're all starting out. So this is how we build as a community, Each one brings their assets and help each other out. That's it.
And it also doesn't help that you're all in New Yorkers.
You don't have to fly me out or nothing, right? That's right.
No, eventually, hopefully one of the day I'll get to that status.
It'll happen,
yeah. But that's actually a nice starting point right there. So you are a native New Yorker.
Yes.
What part of New York specifically?
Well, I was born in LES.
Okay.
And I spent some time in the Heights.
All right.
But I grew up I had a very different upbringing. I was brought up on the Upper East Side. My dad was a super.
Okay.
Typical super, but he didn't stay in the Heights. He went to he was working for the white people,
Mm-hmm.
So at that time in the 80s, I was going through 60s stuff as far as racism. And so I felt, I was in a place of privilege because I was in a neighborhood and I was around people that my people weren't, the people in my situation weren't.
Right. And not calling out your age, but there was a specific time in history where it was at an all-time high.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and we're also talking about, I was a lot younger, but Central Park 5 stuff.
Yes.
When they were when you would see a kid of color, when he wasn't in the neighborhood he belonged in, it was always a thing,
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't the safest place to be around. You understand what I'm saying? I don't get this whole thing New York is all it's crazy and dangerous. I'm like, this place was horrible in the 80s, you know what I'm saying? It was hard as far as you couldn't get in the last train car, you might get your face slashed. Gangs were doing initiations out of nowhere. There was rival gangs all over the city, just recklessly riding the trains and doing stuff to people.
Sounds like right out of the Warriors. The movie,
pretty much. Yeah. I mean, and that's why that movie worked, because I think
I think it was more of a documentary than a movie.
I don't think it was too much of a fictional movie.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. All right, so but that's interesting because like I guess it really depends on who you ask. I mean, I've actually had a guest here. I'm not going to mention his name, but for some reason, he felt like during that time, he actually never felt like his life was in danger.
Right.
It wasn't until very, very recently, with the previous administration, he got too political and stuff like that.
Sure.
But it's interesting because I forget if it was from a movie or some other comedian said it or whatever the case may be, but they were saying it like how Times Square, it was like
my God,
like
pre-Disney.
Yeah, now it's like Disneyland.
Yeah, pre-Giuliani. Like I remember, don't go. You were gonna get scammed. Like
more like Mayor Koch type of.
Oh, absolutely. Right? Like it was like even Dinkins. Unfortunately, during Dinkins, who, trivia thing. David Dinkins taught me how to play tennis.
Really?
Yeah, okay. He used to. Again, I lived on the Upper East Side, right? And there was a tennis. There was like a schoolyard and it had tennis courts there, big place over there on the East Side. And he would be there like 6 a.m, practicing tennis, and he would shut down the whole thing. And I lived across the street. So all of us kids from the neighborhood would go fetch the balls for him or whatever. And then at the end of it, he was teaching us how to play tennis because he saw, like, especially me, like I'm a dark-skinned kid.
Right.
And he was like, and I was like, you play tennis? Like, and he used to be there with like these big bottle Coke glasses.
Oh yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And the shorts up to here, it was like a whole thing. But yeah, it was like it was like a different time. But because of the neighborhood I was in, like I would go to the Heights. I had family in the Heights. I stayed up there. I did, but being in the neighborhood that I was in, I was very aware of my skin color, of my positioning, of where I was at. So I've always had like because of where I've been in places where I wasn't supposed to be in per se, but yeah, like I grew up around other privileged kids. I wasn't privileged, but I grew up around it.
Right, yeah. It was just part of the environment.
Absolutely. And I got to see how how that other world exists.
Yeah.
But I also like spent my summers in DR. So
yeah.
I speak, people talk to me here and they think I was raised there, and I'm like, no, I'm from New York. Yo soy de allá.
I feel like Spike Lee should make a movie out of your entire life just right now.
It sounds
like something out of Spike Lee movie. Yeah. No, but you telling that story also kind of reminds me in a way, because living in Hawthorne, New Jersey, for anybody that's not aware, it's right in the middle between Ridgewood or Midland Park and Patterson. Right. So long story short, I felt like being in that area, I got the best of both worlds. Like I got to see what the world is like from the ugly side and from the more conservative side, privileged side.
And also like the education, like by accident that you're getting because you're around people that are privileged. Like the education is different, So I remember like I would go, then I'm going over the Heights and they're like, you sound white. You sound so white because you're enunciating words properly, and pronouncing words properly. Well, so it was a thing, and then when you're in the, you're not white, so it was like a neither or situation.
Yeah,
which was like why I got into comedy.
Which I get it also because I went to high school in Florida, and so people knew that I stuck out like a sore thumb because I was nothing like these Miami dudes.
No, right. I was about to say you're not in Florida.
No. I'm not. There's no 305 in me whatsoever.
No.
So I stuck out like a sore thumb. Right. But in some like it was weird because there would be days where I would get chastised for not being like one of them, but at the same time I was different from all these other.
So you was cool to the girls.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. Yes. Like, oh, there's something about you. That's different. Yes. I like this.
Yes. I know that
Say
one.
coffee. I want to hear you say it.
Say talk. Talk. And then you do it hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk. Coffee. Yeah.
And then it was funny because like first people would say like if I'm from New York, but I say no, Jersey, close. And then somewhere in the 2010s when I would tell them the same thing, no, I'm not from New York. I'm from Jersey. And then the next thing that came up was like, oh, so do you fist pump? Because of the whole Jersey Shore shit. Yeah, exactly.
That might be worse. Right?
I know. We thought this one was getting better, but it's not.
I mean, but the thing is, it's like Florida too. Like at this point, there's so many New Yorkers in Jersey. You know what I mean, myself included. That it's like the lines are blurred. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like, well, we won't get into too much sports here, but what I think is interesting is that there's a lot of New York retirees that are living in Florida, mainly Tampa.
Right.
That I heard that when you go to a Tampa Bay Rays game, it's all Yankee fans, so you feel like you're in Yankee Stadium South.
Yes.
So I actually want to check that out for myself, even though I heard it's not a great stadium, but I want to feel the ambiance.
Yeah. I mean, and also you got to think about it, like. That's where Steinbrenner was from.
Yeah.
So, you know, like they always make a big deal about that.
I mean, spring training's there too.
Right. So they make it, yeah. So I believe that with all the transplant in New York. And also, you know, it's the Yankees. The Yankees have fans everywhere. So it's a little easier.
It's like the Steelers, you know, there's Steelers fans everywhere.
Cowboys.
Are you a Giant fan?
I'm a Giants fan.
Okay, I'm a Jets fan, unfortunately, but you know, it's okay.
I don't hate the Jets. It's not like a Mets-Yankee situation.
Right.
I've rooted for the Jets. You know, I was a big fan of the Testaverde and the Martin team. You know, those were
Curtis Martin.
Yeah. Those were the fun team, and Winker Bet. Those were fun teams to watch. But you know, the Jets are. I'm already a Knicks and a Mets fan. I don't think my heart or my soul could take any more suffering to be a Jets fan. Like that would have been.
Do yourself a favor and run.
Right.
Run. I always say that if it wasn't for the Yankees and the Devils, I never would know what a championship feels like. Right. But anyway, we're not going to get into too much sports. If you want to get into so much sports, go to check out the 2 a.m. crew with Rick H and myself.
And you probably will catch me there too.
Oh yeah. This guy will definitely.
I go there all the time.
I shouted you out on the last episode.
Thank you, my brother. Absolutely. I appreciate that.
So you, before we got into the whole sports talk, you said that you turned everything that you've experienced into comedy.
Yes.
So going back into your childhood, did you want to do something in the arts, or did you think that you're actually going to be a tennis player professionally when you grow up?
Well, I thought I was going to be a baseball player.
Okay.
That was what I was going to be.
Something athletic.
Basically. But no, at a certain point, you know, my mom says I gave her an Oscar speech when I was 3.
Okay.
You know, and I was always fascinated by that. Like the entertainment and like the fantasy and the make-believe and all that.
Me too.
And, you know, I was like a fantasy kid, always watching TV, always in that world, you know. And then when you discover like comedy, and also like you discover that you have the talent for it, because you know, as much as people like comedy, you don't, and that's something that you kind of get told along the way. You know what I mean? It's not something that you're like, you know what? I mean, there are people that do that. They say, you know what? I'm going to do comedy. I'm going to be a comedian. I just, you know, they get there, you know, but I feel also there's people that are just born naturally with the talent, and, you know, you just kind of step into it and you kind of fall into it. You know, even in my teenage years, I thought I was going to be a rapper, man. I was doing music.
I did that too, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and also shout out to my boy, I almost called him by his real name.
Oh, no, we don't want that.
Oh my God, what's his name? What's his rap name? I forgot.
Fuck, how would I know?
The bass. I was about to call because I just talked to him yesterday.
Oh.
You've had him on your show.
Oh, Action Figure.
Action Figure.
Oh, shout out to Action Figure 973. That's my guy right there.
We was in a rap group together, man, back in the day.
Wow.
Me and Action Figure, we was in a rap group, Hip Hop Dummies,
world,
a long time ago.
That's my guy, man. I love that.
That's my dude, man. And I met him through my little brother. So he's like, you know, all these little stages that but I always knew there was something that I wanted to do in entertainment. Comedy was not what I thought I was going to do at all. And then I got some parts to do, and I like some of the stuff that I did naturally on stage was just like, and I found it like, oh, really? Okay. And also my family, you know, my job was to make my mom laugh, my grandmother laugh. In front of the whole family, I would do routines and making fun of relatives and stuff like that since I was little. And I didn't really have a shameful bone. Like I could talk in front of like 1,000 people. Don't ask me to talk to a woman one-on-one. I can't do that. But you know, I could talk to thousands of people. It doesn't affect me. I don't get nervous.
I'm actually the same way, and it even affects me to this today. I mean, I feel like I could be in the middle of Madison Square Garden, filled up, and I'll talk to everybody that's looking at me. But if I see the woman in my dreams, I'm going to be a mute.
I just as soon as it's like I don't even know what to ask. You know, I don't even know how to start speaking. But I just felt, you know, and then again, you run into you kind of stumble into people doing things, and you're like, oh man, I think I could do that, you know, and. Shout out to my cousin Juan Bago, who he's been on the show.
I haven't not yet, but
not
we're
here?
working. Well, he's another promo. He's actually been on Act Up with Alana J that you guys can go check out right now. So he's been on that. He's actually been in the same seat as you, just a different show.
Just a different show.
Yeah.
I smelled like Mike. That's why I thought you said. No, but shout out to him. He was in the business. He got into he was gonna, he was doing extra stuff and all this stuff. And then we got into the production side of things. And I was writing a lot of things for him. And it was like, oh, it was hitting. And I was like, but man, I think I could do it a little funnier, just because it's your own stuff.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, I'm doing comedy. You're doing sketches, and then we got together. We started Room 28.
Yes, I do remember.
The whole Room 28. Shout out to Rachel La Loca.
That's
she wasn't in the first iteration, but eventually when we put our Avengers team, like I say, shout out to Anthony Palmini. Shout out to Jamie Ferns. These are you meet comedic, soulmates and family like that, and then all of a sudden you're making magic, and it's like holy snap, and then they're asking you to do a show for NBC, they're asking you to open for a certain comedian, you're like, oh wow, and it's one of those things that again, like once you're in that realm and it happens so easily, and then you start putting a little work into it, then things really start to go, But again, that was something that I never thought I was gonna do. Comedy
as comedians or just in comedy in general, and I'm somebody that is just a connoisseur of it. I'm not in it whatsoever, but I appreciate it and I respect the art form, and that's why I stay away from it. Right. But what I want to ask you is that being in the community, how are you guys able to not draw that line, or basically cross that line of community and competition, because it's a very competitive industry?
Oh man, it's almost like sports, it's almost like sports. It's like you can have a teammate, right? And you guys are competing together, but you can still have a competition between the both of you on the same team. Be like, oh, who's going to score more goals between us for the team this year? So there's still a competitive within it, but there's always going to be a sense of camaraderie. But it's a very competitive, like platform to, and it's also like, when I first started, I didn't jump into stand-up because of that. It was very gatekeeped, It was like you had to know certain people, you had to do certain places, you had to follow certain cliques, you had to be friends with certain people. And then they would bring you along and maybe open and stuff like that. But this is like...
It's almost like college hazing in a
absolutely,
way.
Absolutely. So it's one of those things where you're just like, and it wasn't until you kind of make your own way, which is what we did with Room 28, that I was like, oh, okay, I don't need to... I don't need approval from like no network person, like our own fans. Like we're growing a fan base and they're telling us what they want. And that was one of those, that was one of those like more liberating moments where you're just like, okay, but it's always I mean, when we started, there was other sketch groups doing what they were doing, and you always keep an eye on them. But at the same time, there's more than enough to eat for everybody. Cause like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter if you're doing a show today and I'm doing a show tomorrow. Your fans are going to fall out for you. My fans are going to come for me. And then there might be their crossover or whatever, but there's always enough for everybody, but I think it's the competitive nature of life, you know, and it's tough, and it is tough because it's such a subjective thing, and it depends on someone else. Like, if I hit 30 home runs, you can't deny me my 30 home runs.
That's true. Yeah.
But I may be funny for 10 years or whatever, but maybe somebody that comes along in 2 years, they might, somebody might find them funnier. They may not be a better joke writer, but it all depends. The timing, audience, all this other stuff. So
yeah, like I said, I don't know if I would ever dabble in comedy, but here's one thing that I feel confident if I were to. I don't know if I'll be able to write my own material or come up with stuff, but I know that if, like, I guess, there are joke writers out there you can pay, but I know for sure as an actor that I could perform the hell out of it. I could probably really, like, there could be somebody that could write a joke 100 times funnier than I will, but I will tell it 1,000 times better.
You'll find a way to...
Yeah, exactly. Through osmosis.
And that's funny. There are people that are really, really, really funny joke writers, but terrible performers.
Yeah.
Terrible, terrible, terrible performers. And also, like, I've been paid to write for other people or whatever. And when, sometimes you're just like, how did you not get the timing of that as a comedian? You know what I mean? Like, yo, there's a science to it, But yeah, no, I mean, and even me, sometimes I'm hesitant about saying, oh, I'm a comedian. I mean, I've done stand-up and stuff, but I get hesitant with that because I respect that art form so much that, I'm a comedy writer, I'm a comedy
Yeah.
instigator, I like to say, you know.
No,
But
I get where you're coming from because you know I am an actor. I have been paid for it. I'm not SAG or anything like that. But every now and then I have those moments where like, man, I'm surrounded by all these people that have been doing a hell of a lot longer than me. They have a bigger resume than me, so it feels like I still have a lot to do to catch up on
but you're
that.
there.
Yeah, but
That's the
like,
one thing though. That's the one thing they can't say. Once you're there, everyone's equal. Doesn't matter if you're at the table, you're at the table.
yeah,
You
it's just
understand?
another one of those things where
Of
I need to
course.
stop being my own critic at times.
Listen,
You
we all
know?
go through that. We all have our doubts, and we doubt ourselves, and also like we're our own worst enemies. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? We're the ones that hold us back ourselves from being great. You know,
Right.
with the fear of failure. But you know, that's what makes the greats greats. They are fearless.
Mm.
You know, they're like, this is what I like. This is what I'm laughing at.
Yeah.
You know, this is the music that I like. They put it out and they don't care. And because of that, it becomes a thing where like, oh, I can relate to it. If you can make anything relatable, you're good, you know?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So obviously, we're both artists in our own rights. And one of the things that always fascinating about a person who's an artist in general is that they're able to take their pain and make it into art.
Oof.
What are some of the trials and tribulations that you feel comfortable sharing with that you've moments, even just one in particular, where you've turned your pain and your trials and tribulations into the art that you're proud of making?
Wow, that's a great question. Trying to think of yeah, give me more. I heard that. That's a good boom boom.
Sounds like the heights out here.
Well, you know, when I was dealing, especially like, well, I'm gonna speak more recently, just having trials and tribulations of dating. You know, especially after you're turning 40,
That's actually
it's
really cool.
very hard. You
Yeah.
know, so all I could think about every time, like when I was in the middle of like, sometimes you get lonely or whatever, was jokes. You know,
Mhm.
like jokes just kept coming, and I can't, and then like I had like an epiphany during COVID, right? Because I'm sitting there, you know, everybody's locked up in their houses. I had to keep working, whatever. But you know, you're alone in your house, and so and I got sick. You got sick. You got to spend the 10 days of quarantine, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, that's lonely as shit. If there's nobody there to come and take your food and like just to care for you. And listen, your parents are there. That's all a different thing. But when you have that other partner that, and you're possibly going through it at the same time, you
Mhm.
understand what I'm saying? So, and I was just, I got hooked on watching Dr. Pimple Popper.
Yes. Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like obsessive.
It's weird because I not to cut you off, but I actually found it very fascinating. Like I
Absolutely.
would see it on TikTok and stuff like that,
It
and
started
I don't
out
know
as
why
like
I'm watching this, but I'm fascinated.
yeah. So it started out as like squeezing pimples, and then it turns into like, oh no, they're like removing like semi tumors or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Or even like earwax removal
right, it was
sometimes.
just
Yeah.
crazy, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
like just like their skin. And but one thing that would always crack me up, right? These people that come in with horns on their heads, you know, like
Yeah. Yeah.
then growths or whatever, but they all had partners. Yeah, my wife loves it. My husband names this one, you know, and I'm like, these people have a partner and I don't. That's insane, you know?
Yeah.
So I took all of that and also, you know, dating is different now, you know, with the apps and what's acceptable socially and even like what the kids are doing now
Right.
when they're dating, you know, this kind of stuff. And it's like I found all of that and also humor has to come from a genuine place. And I was genuinely like confused
Mhm.
at like, wait, you're supposed to do this now when you're dating, you know, and that, you know.
Yeah.
And also I wrote a lot of, like I said, even with Dad Repeat, a lot of the jokes of the stuff that I was going through at the time was made it into that show.
Yeah. By the
So
way, it's a web series for people.
web
Who know
series.
what
Oh
it
yeah, I'm
is.
sorry. Shout out to Rick and to Cloud.
Mhm.
We did a web series called
Yeah,
Dad
former
Repeat.
former first class guest as well.
Absolutely, and that's right, ding him out. But they, you know, we worked on this actually during COVID too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're writing stories about fatherhood and relationships with fathers and all this other stuff. So a lot of my own personal stuff, yeah, with my dad went in there, but a lot of the stuff of how I was fathering my child and the things that I had to deal with as far as like being a dad or a single dad was made it his way in there.
Yeah.
A lot of funny situations.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I'm not a father myself, at least not that I know of. But
Smart man.
but
Don't pick up the
you know,
phone.
when I did watch that, and you know, when I've seen other mediums of fatherhood and so on and so forth, it makes me wonder. No matter how many times I feel like I could read books and watch movies and all these other stuff, if there ever comes a time for me, if I were to ever have children, I'm not even sure if I even want that at this point, but if it ever were to happen, it makes me wonder that, like, would I even be good enough to actually, make the cut, because listen, I understand that nobody is perfect. Like, we're all flawed in some way, shape, or form, but there's always those generational curses, for lack of a better term. And my father, like, when it comes to the subject of him, there's so many things that I know that I will not do that he did, that was fucked up, that was wrong, that was negative. But I could say that, but when the time comes,
you don't know where you're gonna be at. Right.
like, because I already look like the motherfucker. I already act like him in some ways. So who's to say that it won't come out?
Did you have not to get into it, but did you have a good relationship with him? Do you have a good relationship with him?
Well, first and foremost, he's no longer with us, unfortunately.
Sorry to hear that.
But to answer your question, it's weird because when we were living under the same roof, it was a very fragile relationship. We're two alpha males that just bumped heads all the time. So it was a fragile relationship when we were living under the same roof. We were two alpha males that just butt heads and so on and so forth. But it's kind of like when I moved out, and then there were times where I wasn't living. It was a better relationship. It was different.
You missed each other or stuff, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. And it was like it felt like an actual respect there, as opposed to just authority type of thing.
I mean, look, I guess also that a lot of the fatherhood stuff does depend on, like, one, what your experience was with your father, and what you know about your father's experience as well. Because as you get older, you have to start like, oh, there's reasons why things are the way that they are. You can't always I could blame my dad, but at the same time, like, for some stupid shit. But at the same time, like, my dad could have gone through something with his dad, and it's like he's trying to do as best as he can. You know what I mean? But like I said, it all depends on that. But I also feel like you just, the key to all of that is, like, for me is, like, just to remember how I was when I was a child. And I think that our parents, especially, like, generations before us, like, they didn't have that respect as kids from their parents that we are giving to our children now as human beings. So there was a lot of, like, seen but not heard, and now we actually are, in tune with our kids' emotions. We're trying to make better environments for them. We're trying to break all those bad habits that were passed down to us. But again, like I said, it all depends on the work that you do on yourself first, and then after that, it's one of the most beautiful things in the world, but it's also one of the scariest things, because it's like, I'm a father of a daughter, of a girl, and like, it's like, I don't want to mess up her life. I'm the example of what she sees a man to be, so I have to be like, now I have to shower every day. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of shit. Like, it wasn't like that before.
That kind of reminds me of that Chris Rock joke where he mentioned that he just had a baby girl, and he realized the number one job in his life is to keep her off the pole.
Absolutely. Listen, and that was one of the things. It's funny, again, comedians, there's a kismet, right? One of the things I was like, she's not even holding on to the pole on the train. Like, that's how away from the pole, and then also, like, it was funny because it was like, I would be watching, like, I'll say it. I'll put on porn or something, after my daughter was born, and I'm like trying to get, and then this is father thing that happens to you, like, the first 6 months, and I'd just be like, where's your dad? Why are you doing this? Like, I'd start watching a movie, and instead of getting into it, I'm like, where's your dad? Why are you doing this? Who hurt you? Like, that kind of stuff was totally ruining the. So yeah, that was weird, but it's also like, it's life transforming, because then it's a life of serving for the greatness of another person. You want them to, and my kid is like, I don't know what she wants to be, but she's seen me do comedy, she's seen me do music, she's seen me do all of that, and she's not afraid of doing any of that. And she saw me on TV, she saw me on NBC when we did the Bring the Funny stuff. So she saw all of that as like a 4-year-old kid. So it's like there's a normalcy to it, but also, like, hey man, that's not a dream that isn't attainable.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One thing that hasn't been out there in the airwaves as of late, but it definitely caught my attention even way back then, was the Men on Pause podcast. So again, artists, we can't keep ourselves in a box. We always want to tap into other things. Yeah. So explain to me, like, how that came about, because it seemed like you guys were just right on that cusp where you guys were kind of like cracking into something that hadn't been done yet, but also it was also right on that cusp where everybody and anybody and their mother was doing a podcast as well.
Right. That was the thing. So first of all, shout out to my partner, P, the 16th letter. We actually went to high school together.
Okay.
That's my high school buddy. And you know, that's one of those things, especially that like everybody had a podcast. Everybody had a podcast. So it was not something that, you know, and everybody's like, you need to do a podcast, bro. And I'm like, yeah, everybody has a podcast. Everybody, you know? So then I go see my high school buddy, and he has like a computer and he's getting all this equipment. He's like, yo, man, I think we should do a podcast, you know? Like he's being proactive about it, which is if you know him, it's like the craziest and weirdest thing out of it because he's not a proactive dude. He's not the when we did our podcast, I edited, I did all of that stuff. But he's so funny and talented that, you know, I was like, oh, when he told me he wanted to do the podcast, I was like, if there's a person that I would do a podcast with, it has to be with this crazy guy, only because we have such a shorthand and we understand each other to the point where if we do get nasty on the podcast, it stays there because we have ugly fights in real life, you know, but we love each other to death, you know? So we were talking about like because everybody was doing a podcast, we had to come up with some sort of I needed an idea to separate us, you know, and I didn't want it to be a shtick where, you know, like I have to play a character all the time or whatever. And then it just came about. I was like, wait a minute, we're two 40-year-olds at the time, we're 40-plus-year-olds. We're navigating through like technology, modern, you know, and he has a son that's like 20-something years old. So he's trying to teach his son how to be a man now in all of this, you know, especially during the Me Too era. He was pretty much like in the like 18 to 20 or something like that.
Sure.
So it's like all these examples that he has to show, like to talk about with his kid. And we were just sitting there talking about it. And it's like, oh man, it's like, you know, it's like like if men had menopause, you know? And then it was like, wait a minute. Men on pause. And there was a whole thing of like the pause game. Yeah, that's exactly how it happened. And the light bulb came over, everything. But it was one of those things like, wait, men on pause. So this is all within 1 hour. All these ideas are coming together.
Wow.
Fast.
Okay.
I'm on the train, I go home, I'm on GarageBand.
Yeah.
And I start messing around with like a sound I had in my head. By the time I got home, I had the theme song.
Wow.
Ready to go. Like, oh man, this good. So we film an episode. I take GarageBand. I'm like, I don't know how. Let me just mess around with it.
Yeah.
And boom. And then we decided, like, look, we're stuck in the 90s. We love the 90s, the era. You know, that's when we were in high school, 15, 16 years old. Like we have an affinity for the year 1994. Like, you understand? So we talked about like, yo, we should be able to like, because of the because of the Me Too stuff.
Yeah.
And there was not a lot of stuff about men going on, and we thought like we could really ruffle some feathers right now if we come out with a show called Men on Pause.
Yeah.
And we celebrate men. But that we do in tongue in cheek. The men that we're celebrating are all the 80s movie stars that we saw, you know, and we talk our truths about them, like even when they have their faults. But at the same time, we talk about how we saw them when we were little kids watching these movies.
It's almost kind of like the Hispanic 90s version of the Man Show from back in the day.
Facts, you know, without the
misogyny,
right? Without the raunchiness, like we didn't like, you know, we also made it a point of like not objectifying women on our show, and also like trying to teach men how to navigate those conversations, because even us coming up, there was always that dude that would come into the group, you know, like that wasn't part of the group, but he'd like talk a certain way about women or whatever, and it's like you're not clicking with us, you know, like we've always been respectful of women, we've always been around women, which is always, you know, again, and that's not everybody, right? And I mean, even from the conversation we had, I know you're that kind of dude, and also when you're around women and women are around you, that means you're a safe person to be around, you know? So all of those things came into play and said, yo, tongue in cheek, we're going to have man crushes. We're going to talk about crushes that we have on dudes. We're going to talk about, you know, we're going to talk about stuff that we did in the 90s and literally sound like disgruntled old men
The get off my lawn type of
Right,
thing. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right. But while laughing at ourselves.
Right, yeah. No, it's very tongue in cheek. And that's one of
Yeah.
the things that I enjoyed about it. You know, everything from that to Joey Nalgas and all the other things in
Yeah.
between, you know?
And I also knew, like, I wanted it to be half hour. Like, it needs to be 20 minutes, half hour.
It's an appetizer, you know?
I want you to hear it on your train ride home. You know, if you miss an episode, you can hear 2 or 3 together. It's not gonna be like a overwhelming. Like, sometimes I'll miss a podcast episode, and I'm like, if I get backed up 3 or 4, now I'm like, oh shit, it's like homework because I have to catch up. You know, it's like 4 or 5 hours that I have to listen. So, but with this, it was like a non-sequential. Like, you know, we didn't really have too many things that led from one episode to the other, but we also talked about stuff that were relevant, you know, at the moment that was going on.
Well, I mean, I think with what's going on right now with the T dating advice app that's popping right now, I think that's a good topic for you guys to bring up if it ever comes back. Now, I'm looking at this, and it seems like you guys have over 214 episodes.
Yeah.
And you actually did have one in March of earlier this year.
Yeah, we actually have 4 more, our 4 final episodes. We still have to record our final episode. We're gonna do and then after that, only because we're gonna reformat. We're gonna see where this goes. I mean, it's been 4 years. We actually, like I said, we started during COVID, and 200 episodes of anything is incredible and a lot of work.
I mean, not to my own horn, but this is episode 187 right now,
dude,
so I'm
you're
almost
on
on the
it.
cusp.
It's and it's like you get, that's right. You get into a rhythm, and it's all about consistency, you know. And you feel you're getting better and better, and every episode gets easier, and the more people, you know, like and you keep learning, right? And you keep but it's a tough thing to do, the consistency, but that's the key to success in life. It's consistency. Just keep consistent.
It is very tough, but I think what keeps me consistent is just having the right people around me.
That's it.
And also what's I thought about this to myself the other day, because I do a lot of thinking, because my day job, I'm a truck driver, and I'm by myself all the time, so I have a lot of time to think.
Perfect.
And one of the things that crossed my mind was, I'm about to reach 200 episodes. And then I looked at, in my head, I started thinking about the amount of people that I've had on my show and the actual people that I've had on my show. I mean, I'm not going to name
really
I'm not going to name, you know, too much names. This is too much to, you know, say right now. But I just feel like, you know, with everybody in this community and knowing each other, and, you know, speaking to people that I thought I would never ever have a chance to meet, so on and so forth, like, it was one of those moments where I was like, man, I'm actually sitting down and stopping and smelling the roses and see how far I've come so far.
Dude,
you know?
like, again, and this is when, I guess, when you and I communicated at a certain point, like, I was like, dude, I'm really enjoying your I think I might have hit you up. I was like, dude, your podcast is the shit. Like, I'm like, yo, I'm really, like, I like your interview style. You know,
Thank you.
It's a little bit more different than other podcasts where you're going and people are, like, promoting their things. You kind of got more in depth and talked about the experience with them.
Yeah,
you know?
And I'm actually, well, first and foremost, thank you for the compliment. I really appreciate that, and I'm glad that you noticed that, because one of the things that is very frustrating for me at times is when you do have those people that only want to reach out to me because they don't see that I have the podcast. They see I have a podcast and they have something that they want to promote. Right. And I've said this before on a previous episode, where I've had maybe 1 or 2 people that they come on the show, they promote, and then we have a nice conversation, or so I thought.
Right.
And then they go sideways on me because they didn't expect that we were going to get all this deep and personal and everything, and I'm not about that. I'm like, well, then you know what? That's your fault, because you didn't do your homework.
Do your research coming in here, right?
Exactly. You didn't do your homework. You just saw that I had a show and figured, let me just do this and promote this and stuff like that. No, I'm different than that. My audience does not respond that way.
Right.
And
which is what was tough for us in our podcast too. Like, we didn't have guests because of one. We would record at whatever time we wanted to. Sometimes at 3 a.m. You know, whenever, if we were like not busy, especially because I told you I used to have like a weird work schedule. But I mean, the people that we did have on, there was very few and far between. But it was nothing. They weren't coming on to promote anything. Right. It was usually to prove a point between me and P, you know. Like, we had my friend Miguel Perdomo. He's the first Sean John model, you know. Okay. We don't have people like that on our show to interview them about what they're doing. Right. He's telling us, we're interviewing, but at the same time, we're trying to get him to tell us who would be a better model between me and P. You know, like, that's that was the reason why we kind of had him on. Ramon is our movie guy. He would come on and talk about movies. So it's like, that's what makes it tough. When we saw that, like, and if there was somebody interesting or that we could get them on, we would do it. We had a couple of guests, but because of that same reason, I felt like when you're bringing in people in, sometimes it's you have to deal with that dynamic. And for us, I feel like this is like a therapy session kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Talking to people, and you're talking about. With us, it was like, how many jokes can we get in 20 minutes? So, sometimes people were coming in and they did not, like, we've had guests and they were like, what's going on? Is this what? And we're spinning circles around them. And then they're like, what? Was anything real? I'm like, no, dude, everything was like, we're just making jokes here. Oh, I thought you guys were really fighting with each other. No, man. Like, this is what we do. This is how we do it.
Yeah. Well, another person that hasn't done their research on your show.
Right.
So.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but what's next for Jerry Diaz? I mean, you've had Dad Repeat, you've had the podcast, you've had projects, and so on and so forth. Like,
well, Dad Repeat season 2.
Yeah.
It's out there. It's written. I don't know when it's gonna happen. Shout out to Rick, because he's working on a one-man show, which he's gonna bring to New York.
It's funny because he literally just texted me right now. He texted me right now. Yeah. So a little bit of backstory, ladies and gentlemen. So before we started recording, I sent a picture of me and Jerry together to Rick. Shout out to Rick. And he goes, and I'll read you back what he said. I'm sure you won't mind.
No.
He's like, oh shit, my brothers, I'm jealous. I want to join the threesome. LOL.
That sounds like Rick.
Yeah. And then afterwards, he sent me the promo for what he's doing on August 23rd.
Yes.
Wow, that's gonna be a busy day for me. Because
that's right. You just told me about something.
About the.
So when you told me that,
asshole.
I was trying to put it together.
Yeah.
Like, is there something that happens?
I feel like this is gonna be a Sophie's choice.
It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough.
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah. Well,
anyway.
listen, Rick. He's got a whole waiting list. That's how popular he is.
Yeah.
He's like, he sold out right away. So. So congrats to him. But Dad Repeat 2, I've seen the script. Like, if it's been worked on, there's some stuff that has to get done. Hopefully that gets done soon, because it's a passion project and I love it, and I get to work with my brother doing that, which is great. I'm out here doing stand up, every once in a while. You'll see me. I did the Morir Soñando. I'll do the Morir Soñando every once in a while. When shout out to Sasha and Glory.
Oh yeah.
They always put the show together. Whenever they ask me to be, I'm like, yo, you let me know, I'll be there.
Right.
And I have my own sketch show that I put together. I'm trying to get something together for Hispanic Heritage Month, but we call it Saint Sunday, Santo Domingo, and it's my love letter to comedy and to the Dominican culture,
And then what about Latin GX?
Oh, the Latin Geeks. Yes, Latin Geeks. Yeah, that's another, but that's
my non-Spanish ass.
Well, it's written,
Yeah.
But shout out to my partner in that, Rob. I feel like I have partners in everything. Rob Rios. So that's our we nerd out on that podcast. Yeah. We talk about anything and everything, comic books, Marvel, DC, all that stuff. We've had a couple of guests on from Marvel and DC world, and it's been. But those, we do those episodes when we can get together, and we actually gonna have some, because of the Superman stuff. We're probably gonna record some stuff. But we put out like 4 episodes a year, but those are like action packed, full, But again, shout out to my boy Rob Rios, who he puts in a lot of that work.
Nice. Yeah. Now, my next follow-up question, it might be a little bit difficult, but just trying to bear with me here if we can. So, I love everybody and everything that everybody's doing in the community and so on and so forth. One of the things that I worry about, though, as a Hispanic who is not very fluent in Spanish and has never really felt always, a part of the culture because I've been Americanized in a lot of ways and so on and so forth.
Sure.
How you obviously, especially with your background and seeing on both sides of the coin and so on and so forth, how are you able to draw those lines of not coming off as too... It's almost like you don't want to reinforce the stereotypes. You're just really putting a spotlight on it, but it's not necessarily what's all about. Like, look at you at first glance. I mean, you could tell that you're a Washington do-tights, but I think that there's more depth to you than just that. Sure,
absolutely. Like I told you, Heights is in me, but I live in Jersey now too. You know what I mean? So, it all comes down to being genuine, what your intentions are. If your intentions are to shock and to do that, things might fall flat. My intentions are always to be funny and to be genuine. And that's like, I think that's like the best place to come when you're doing comedy. But some of the stuff is funny because it is true, like the stereotypes, it is true. Now, it's one thing when your own people can, like, we can do it for ourselves. There's those weird rules. But I've been in situations where I'm doing sketches. Like, we had a sketch that they were all like Mexican gang members, but they were all like at an Olive Garden, but they all treated it like it was a gang. And one of the guys had left to go work at it, like Applebee's. So then he came back and it was like a whole thing. So but they were doing like, you ever seen that movie Blood In, Blood Out?
Yes.
So we played it, we had the theme song and it was crazy. Like, it was
just to be sure, that's the one with Benjamin Bratt, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
yeah. Vatos Locos.
Long ass 3-hour movie.
Yes. Classic. So yeah, it's one of those. So we were doing the sketch and we were doing it in front of executives for a major network, and they, we love it, but we don't know if you could do that. This might be offensive, and I'm like, well, it's not offensive because we're doing it. If you guys were to do that, yes, it'd be very offensive. But we're not coming from a place of like we're trying to offend. We're actually like this is our culture. This is
life, yeah.
Right, and this is something we're more tongue in cheek about it. Like, oh, this is funny to us, but we're not like trying to. We're not trying to get people to like criticize it, or,
right? Yeah,
you know. But yeah, there is a responsibility after a certain time. Like, I don't want to be the super. Like, that's why I've never done Law and Order or SVU or any of that stuff. Time of audition, lineup guy 3, snitch 3. Like, I'm like, why can't I be the guy that helps find? Why can't I be one of the victims? Like, you understand? Like, there's a predisposition also of how we are looked. So one of my rules with Room 28, because there's a lot of us in that group that didn't speak perfect Spanish.
Sure.
But we didn't have to. Latino people were going to see us and they were going to brand us that before they even saw us. Well, just looking at us, you can look at me, I'm Latino. I don't have to make my stuff catering to that audience. It's going to seep out in whatever I do because that's what I am and that's what we are.
And you're proud of it.
And I'm proud of it. So sometimes when people get caught up in catering to like, oh, I want to make this Latino film. I want to make a film. Bro, just make the film. Doesn't matter if you're Asian. Doesn't matter if you're African. Everybody's got moms that annoy them. Everybody's got grandmothers. That's why it's, oh my God, that story's so relatable. Yes, it's life. It's family. Everybody's the same. Sometimes we get caught up in the labels, but it doesn't matter because then it's like, it depends on the rules, right? The gatekeeping. You're saying, hey man, I'm not as Latino, but then I go to DR. I'm not DR enough because I'm from here. I don't know what's going on. It's just, there's always going to be. So if you listen to that, there's enough things to stop you in the world. For me, I just say, just stay true to yourself. And that doesn't take away from your Latino-ness at all because you carry it in you. Like you are walking, So I don't need, that's why the name of the group was called Room 28. We didn't need to call it Los Funnies or, just, I wanted people to like, what the hell's Room 28? And not say, oh, Los Locos. Oh, that's for Latinos. I don't want to deal with that.
No, I use this analogy all the time, but one of my favorite TV shows, Fresh Prince. There's an episode where Will and Carlton are trying to get into a fraternity, African American fraternity, and they don't want Carlton because they don't think that he's black enough or whatever. And the best line that he said in that episode was, "Being black isn't what I'm trying to be; it's what I am." Because it's true, because even though he's privileged and so on and so forth, he still has to go over the same hurdles that everybody else with the same skin color as him has to go through.
That's it.
And that's why I love that episode, because that could apply to anybody that has ever been in that situation, regardless of their sex, creed, race, religion, whatever the case may be.
Absolutely. I think, like, labels are great and communities are great and culture is great, but we can't get caught up in pandering to it.
Right.
You understand?
Okay. That's the key, yes.
You understand? And I feel like you hear sometimes executive talk, they talk about the untapped Latino market. That Latino market isn't untapped. They're consuming the stuff that the white creators are making, the black creators are. There's a whole spectrum. That audience is already consuming stuff. So it doesn't need to be labeled for Latinos for them to take. You understand? Like, I find that it's weird. They're like, no, we got to start making stuff for our people. Like, no, just make something good. Right. And trust me, even if you try to deny that, like, again, Route 28, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what it is, but as soon as we had a little bit of clout and they knew who we were, Univision comes calling,
Yeah.
and all these people, and then they start, the Dominican American group, and all, they start claiming you as soon as you start having a little success, or you start making a name for yourself. So all of that other stuff, it comes with it. So you don't have, just be authentic to yourself.
Right. Now, somebody that is in the comedy world, and one that, then this is pretty topical. Unfortunately, we have somebody like Steve Colbert, whose show was just canceled because apparently, long story short, our freedom of speech is being attacked. Like, we can't criticize people in power and so on and so forth. And, there's lawsuits and so on and so forth. And one of the things that I feel like comedy in general is being attacked for is, exercising that free speech.
Sure.
And I find it very hypocritical when you have one side of a group of people that are saying that they're all about freedom of speech, but once other people on the other side start using it,
they
then
start wanting to censor it.
exactly.
Right. They become the snowflake.
So
right?
yeah.
Talking about, right?
So with that being said, do you feel kind of worried, or do you still feel optimistic of the landscape of comedy in general, despite the politics of the world that we're going through right now?
I'm afraid of the landscape of comedy because people are getting confused as to what comedy is, right? Because again, when you're talking about, people that are now censoring, right? These are also people that think that, oh, that's a joke. You're taking everything seriously, and they're being mean. Like they think that being mean or putting people down or like, this, I had a discussion with somebody the other day. He's like, oh, there was a clip of a comedian. The woman wasn't laughing. He starts berating her like, oh, why aren't you laughing? She wasn't heckling him. Like as a comedian for me, I would try to make her laugh first. So I put that in the comments. Then people came jumping on me like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I went to a Michael Blackson show and I sat in the front so they could roast me. And I'm like, but bro, that's not comedy. That's not, people are getting confused because they're seeing people put up their crowd work, which that's great. And it's an art form in itself, but that's not stand up for what it really is. Like, you got to put jokes together, put concepts together, have callbacks, like have storytelling, some sort of, or even just like, maybe you're not a good storyteller, but you're a good joke writer. That kind of stuff that you put work into. I feel like people think that comedy is about being mean or putting somebody that, like, you can be funny. That's why I've never felt all these people, it's too woke. No, it's like the consciousness has moved as far as like, well, you're hurting people now when you're saying certain things. That's not what comedy's about. You want to make people laugh. If I'm making a joke and I know it affects one person, it bothers one person, I'm gonna have second thoughts about it because that's not my objective. My objective isn't to offend somebody. My objective is to make you laugh. And I think people get so caught up in like, you got to use your voice, you got to use your platform. Do not forget your job. You're a comedian. You got to make people laugh and feel good first. And people are thinking like, oh, you got to roast. So I am afraid of that. But I do believe true art and truth will always prevail.
Yes.
Will always prevail. And again, genuineness, just stick the course. But you do have people that are muddying the waters as far as to what is comedy or what's even being allowed to be said. And that goalpost is always gonna move because that's what society is, Yeah. People date now and they eat butt. Like that was not acceptable. That was not an acceptable behavior. They eat strangers' butts. Like that was not acceptable behavior, before. But things change. So now there's like again the goalpost is gonna move. Yeah, you can't say the R word anymore. Yeah, it's like because there's special needs people there. Yeah. And I think also like there's this edginess that is trying to like, oh, and I don't mean to single out a particular type of, but it's like, sometimes some of these white comedians are like, I'm gonna say the closest edgiest thing to like racist and that's gonna be so funny, and it's not. It really isn't. To you it might be funny in the moment, but that's like, who wrote that? My daughter wrote that joke in 3rd grade. You know what I mean? Like evolve.
Exactly.
So I'm not afraid of, like I said, the truth will always prevail and funny is always funny. But yeah, I think there needs to be a recalibration as to what people think comedy is. Comedy's not. Also, you don't use it to hurt people.
Right.
You know, I'm not gonna you're not gonna say, oh, hey, yeah, it's a floating island of garbage. An island is, Puerto Rico's a floating island of garbage.
Yeah.
At a political convention.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying?
That would have worked. That would have worked at the Chuckle Hut, but not at Madison Square Garden doing a rally.
And even then, he tried it at the Chuckle Hut, per se, and nobody laughed.
Exactly. Yeah.
So he's like, you cringed? I'm going to use this on a bigger stage. It doesn't make any sense. But they also know what they're doing. They're pushing the buttons, and they're pushing the limits as to what can be done.
Yeah, Mark Maron, who is one of my favorite podcasters.
Genius.
I love that guy. Matter
Genius
of fact,
comedian, man.
Yeah, and he's actually, his podcast, WTF, which is unfortunately coming to an end this fall, he was the one guy that I would say that he really pushed me into getting into podcasting in the first place, because I love his interview style and everything. I mean, he's had everybody from Springsteen to Obama to everybody.
Yeah.
So, but he said something very recently, which I thought was brilliant, because of, because we were talking about, there's other comedians that were supporting this current administration and they voted for this and everything. Yeah. And I love what Mark Maron, where he said, like, congratulations, guys. I hope this was all worth it, just so you guys can say the R word again.
Correct. And the N word. You think the N word is funny now? You're going to use that. Again, there's this line of like teetering edge of like, I'm going to do Asian accents now. Like that kind of stuff. And it's like, it's funny because it's wrong. It's pissing people off. No, man, like that's completely the opposite of what your job is as a comedian. Right.
And times have changed also. Like, I'll give you an example. So one of the things that I like to do sometimes in passing time is, and I didn't know this is actually a way to make money. It's actually pretty cool. I wish I knew about this before. But there's people on YouTube that they're watching classic movies for the first time ever. Like, it's their reactions. And I enjoy them. And there's this mashup on YouTube of a whole bunch of reactors watching the first Rush Hour movie. And that scene where Jackie Chan is saying, "What up, my N-word?" Like, so I saw that movie the first day it came out. And I remember that scene, and I remember in 1998 or 1999 when it came out, the whole theater erupted in laughter. It was hilarious. It didn't matter if you were black, white, Chinese, Asian, whatever the case may be.
Jackie Chan is saying the N-word.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
Yeah, but now with these reactors, they'd be like, "Oh my God, he shouldn't have said that. He shouldn't have said that. He shouldn't have said, oh my God, I hope he's not going to get hurt." Like, dude, the times have completely changed.
I mean,
but you got to roll with it at the same time. I understand.
Kids are smarter. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody, like, society has evolved, I showed Dumb and Dumber to my daughter,
I love that movie.
Absolutely. And the part where he's like, he's about to go on a date and he's like stuck on the toilet and doing the whole thing. When I think I was 17, 18 years old when I saw that. Yeah. My daughter was 10. Yeah. And she's like this. That is disgusting. This was funny. And I felt like such a, piece of shit. I was like, come on. And it's like, oh, you're such a guy, Yeah. But that's, again, kid, they are privy and they have advantages and know things that and are privy to things that we didn't even get to see sometimes when we were adults.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I think that Dave Chappelle's Killing Them Softly is one of the greatest stand-up specials of all time. Absolutely. But if I had any children, or I'm actually going to have a nephew now, congratulations to me.
Congratulations to you.
I bet you if I ever showed that nephew that thing, he would probably fall asleep.
Right.
Yeah.
So I actually, my daughter's into stand-up. We watched it. I try to put her on a George Carlin.
Oh, okay.
Right? And there was a couple of times that she was like, "Oh, that's interesting." But then there were other times she's like, "Oh, when is this over?" I'm like, listen to what he's saying. But
learn something.
Yeah, learn something. He's actually telling you something. But I know probably she's not ready for that yet.
Sure,
because it's on another thing. But I mean, it's all, again.
I mean, this also kind of reminds me of going back to my dad again, where we used to watch Seinfeld all the time. Now, when I was a kid, I didn't understand everything. I just found it funny because my dad found it funny, and I was just enjoying the time that I was having with him. Yeah. And then I watched it as an older person, and now I understand.
You're getting the jokes now.
I get the jokes. Now I get the double entendres and the sarcasm and the narcissism and everything, and it's great. But it just kind of took me back.
That's a cool thing too. Like, my daughter, like, she's watching those sitcoms and stuff like that, and like that's also a joy because he's like, okay. She does have good taste as far as like, she does find certain things funny, but then there's other times where I'm just like, man, times have, we'll watch an old episode of like King of Queens or something, and some stuff is like really funny. Like, one episode's really funny, and the next episode is like, he's kind of a jerk to her, you know, like
Oh
to
my God,
you know.
yeah.
And Carrie, she's kind of a bitch with
Yeah,
that, you know, like it's weird, you know.
Yeah.
So it's but you can see that now because again, I think our eyes have been open to so much,
Right, yeah.
you know.
I mean, I remember when me and Marv were on Rick H's show before it was the 2 a.m. crew where we were talking about movies, and we all love the first Ace Ventura movie,
Yeah.
but Rick made a good point that if you really think about it, Ace is just an asshole.
The whole time,
He's just a big fucking asshole the entire movie.
And then even how he's talking to people, like there's times where he's like, there are people that are talking, he's yelling in their face.
Yes.
You know, it's like, whoa, you're like, oh my gosh, that's a lot, you know?
Yeah, that cannot be done in real life.
No. But again, that was the genius of him at the time.
Yeah.
That was new and innovative, you know?
Yeah.
And now, like you go 10 years after that and you'll see like 30 people did that in a different way in another movie because they were influenced by that, you know?
Exactly. Those are the days. And like I said, I feel like that get off my lawn kind of guy, but I'm enjoying it nonetheless. All right. Well, we're about to close out this episode pretty soon. But before we do that, we have the final segment that everybody loves here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for this or that. If you've never seen the show before, what happens is I will ask my guests here multiple choice questions. There's no right or wrong answers, just what you like best.
Correct.
It's the best way. It's a better way for the audience to get to know you a little bit more and a nice way to end this episode on a positive note.
Let's go.
All right. So are you ready, Marv? Are you ready, Jerry?
I think so.
Jerry.
See, it comes out naturally, bro.
I knew I was going to come back to it.
Yeah, it was. Good callback.
All right. Well, anyway, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go for this or that. You, Mr. Diaz. Playlist or podcast?
As an old head, I really want to say playlist.
Okay.
Because it's like the CDs you would make for people, you know, like, hey, you know, this is like you kind of spoke a language. I think I actually, you know what, I'm gonna go with playlist. I love podcasts, but I'm gonna go with playlist because playlist, it's a little bit more personal, and I feel like there's little clues to who the person is that's making it. Not only who you're making it for, but who's making it, and there's always a story, or you'll be surprised at some of the music that some people are listening to.
Yeah. Slides or Crocs?
Oh, slides. Slides. Although, if I catch you with slides outside of your house or outside the 3-block perimeter of your house, I will freaking roast you for leaving your house in slides in New York City. That's all I'm going to say.
Beach or pool? No right or wrong answer, my G.
There isn't. There's something about being old and having sand in the crack of your ass when you get home. I don't mind smelling like bleach. I can just wash it off. The sand sometimes gets in places. Yeah, so I'm going to say pool.
All right. Dogs or cats?
Oh, dogs. Definitely.
Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Super night owl. So night owl, it turns into an early bird.
Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram. I don't have TikTok.
Okay.
Yeah.
To give or to receive?
To give.
All right. Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
Extroverted introvert.
Ambivert. Okay.
Yeah.
Batman or Superman?
Oh, come on, man. Don't do that to me.
I already did.
Because I've been on my Batman kick, but this new Superman movie was the shit.
I haven't seen it yet, so no spoilers.
I loved it. I mean, I've just always been a Superman guy,
Gotcha.
so I'm going to go with Superman.
All right. Iron Man or Captain America?
Oh, real quick, the thing with Batman that changed me was somebody once told me there's a reason why his mask is half open. And it's so the police can know he's white.
I've heard this before, yes.
Okay. So what was the next question?
Iron Man or Captain America?
Iron Man.
Okay. Deadpool or Wolverine?
Deadpool.
Are you glass half empty or glass half full?
Glass half full.
Would you rather be embarrassed or be afraid?
Be embarrassed.
Would you rather be too hot or be too cold?
I'd rather be too cold.
Do you prefer doing dishes or laundry?
I hate both of them. What would I prefer? Oh man, that's a good question. You know what? Laundry's a little simpler. There's no water involved, and it's therapeutic. You listen to music and stuff.
Yes,
yes. So I'll do laundry.
Yeah. Do you prefer the window seat or the aisle seat?
Window seat.
Okay. Are you book smart or street smart?
A little of both. I think so. I'm gonna say book smart.
Okay. Do you prefer reading or writing?
Writing.
Would you speak every language or play every instrument?
Play every instrument.
Cardio or weights?
Cardio.
Dancing or karaoke?
Ooh, dancing.
Movie theater or streaming service?
I'm a streaming service guy.
Drama or comedy?
Dramedy. No, comedy.
Ice water or room temperature?
Ice water.
And then finally, teamwork or solo project?
Teamwork all the way.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this or that. And that is going to do it for this episode of First Class, Second Place. Thank you to my great guest, Jerry Diaz, for coming through here.
It's been an honor. Thank you so much for having me. Well, finally.
Yes, finally. We made it happen. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to real quick before we close out?
Just a shout out to my girl, Sandy. So she's my back. She's my everything. And to my daughter, Amaya, who's like, she's busting her ass in school. So I want to really give her a shout out because she's been doing very, very well, and I'm very, very proud of her.
Yeah, and where can they find you on social media? And I love this because you probably have the greatest Instagram handle I've ever heard. So I want to let you tell
You can find me. I'm known in the social medias as El Modifoca. ELMODIFOCA.
That is brilliant, man.
Thank you,
I got to give you hats to that.
I've had it, and then there's been some moldy focas and don't moldy. There's only one at Modifoca.
Yeah.
That's only one. Yeah.
Brother, thank you so much, man.
Thank you
really
for having
appreciate
me, brother.
it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and we'll do this again sometime again.
We have to do it.
Absolutely, man. There's definitely a part 2 and a part 3 that needs
Absolutely. I'm humbled to be here, brother.
Thank you, brother. And ladies and gentlemen, you can find me at I am Jason Enrique on all social media platforms. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube at Jason Enrique. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next week. This has been the First Class, Second Place podcast. We out.